I'm Igor and this is the List Building Lifestyle, a podcast for those who want to build a large profitable email list and make six figures from anywhere in the world. If you would like to get rich by building a large email list while helping people, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to attend a free web class I'm conducting this week to find out how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers at a profit. Secure your free seat at igor.cx. Attend this free workshop to discover an easy way to get 50 to 500 new email leads per day on complete autopilot without losing tons of money. Just go to igor.cx to attend this free web class. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kayfetz. You know, when I just got started and for the first couple of years, I had this mental barrier in my mind that would really prevent me from achieving my first great success. And that barrier was revolving around the idea that I had nothing to bring to the marketplace worthy of attention. In other words, after attempting to market for a couple of months, building MySpace profiles, harassing people on Facebook, trying to write some articles, that was the thing, right? The Web 2.0 era. When I got started, I recognized that I wasn't getting much traffic. And of course, at the time, I already knew that he who controls an audience, he who controls attention, he who controls traffic is generally successful online. Therefore, I had to learn how to make that happen, how to do that on my own. And you know what's a funny thing? I really genuinely tried to get traffic, but deep down inside, I never believed that I could say anything that would get people attention. In other words, that would stand out from the whole crowd of people who were already saying the exact same things. I really didn't understand why would anyone pay attention to me when they had other people in the market who were way more credible than me? Why would they even know my name or bother checking out my stuff? Because, after the first couple of months or maybe 3 to 4 months of genuine attempts to tell my story, of course I did it incorrectly and, I made a lot of that stuff up. But after several attempts for several months, I just gave up. I just gave up saying things, and I tried to look for shortcuts that never worked. And so what I didn't understand at the time, the fact that I understand now, and the fact that, has been truly concretely set in my mind, and there's no way you can convince me otherwise, is that no matter how competitive or how full or how, infested the marketplace is, no matter how bad it gets, you can always get your share. You can always get a piece of the pie. And here's why. If you're a smart marketer, if you are diligent at studying the art and science of marketing, you know that he who commands attention wins, right? He who is able to pull someone's attention will always have the opportunity to market a product, to sell something, to do something that will result in a transaction. Now, so the question then becomes, how do you gain attention in a very competitive marketplace? Why would someone pay attention? Well, the reason why someone would pay attention is because, quite simply, they can't help it. It's not like people decide. We think that we have free will and that we are in full control of our decisions, but that is not true. We don't even recognize how manipulated we are by our own brain and by our own emotional guidance system. In other words, not just the decisions we make on pretty much hourly basis are dictated by pure emotion and then are being justified by logic. That alone, should tell you that whenever you're marketing or selling something, it's not really about the logical aspect of what you're selling. But we're also really bad, probably worse than any animal on the planet, at controlling what we give our attention to, which is, in my opinion, why one of the greatest secrets to success is having the ability to maintain a really focused energy, really focused attention on one thing until you get it done correctly, right? Which is something you may notice as to be very, very common between all the people who are successfully making money online. They're very focused and they're very diligent about following through. But the average person, and even those top performers too, they're really bad at controlling what we pay attention to. Therefore, if we just have the right bait, and before you feel bad about me using the word bait, okay, just try to set that aside for a second. We'll get back to it. But just by using the right bait, anyone can be seduced into consuming our marketing message. I don't care if that person is a Yale professor with 17 degrees and a major in nuclear psychology. I don't really care who they are, where they live, or whatever. Everybody has a bait. Everybody has a temptation. Everybody has some sort of emotional payoff that they're looking for. And with the right bait, we can tempt anyone. We can really win anyone's attention. We just have to truly understand who we're dealing with, which is why in pretty much every legitimate, serious, and high quality course on marketing, the first thing they talk about is know thy customer, right? Is getting intimate with your market. It's why in my masterclass, in my list building masterclass, it's a $2,000 course. The first 4 hours are devoted to understanding who is my customer. What are they thinking about? What are they afraid of? What are they concerned about? Who are their enemies? Do they have any scapegoats that they like to use? What would prevent them from sleeping well at night? What are they dreaming about? What is nagging them, right? So if I know all these things, I can create the right bait to gain their attention. And as a result, I can use pretty much any medium of advertising in order to grab their attention and hold it for long enough to entice them to check out what I offer. Which is why, even though the inbox is really competitive these days, we're still able to pull ridiculous EPCs. I'm talking about on the most recent promotion, we pulled, I think, $60 per click from an email promotion. The webinar I've done, even as early as a couple of years ago, we've done $160 or $180 per webinar attendee coming from email, right? So even though the marketplace is very competitive, even though it's really hard to get people's attention, even though the inbox is full of other messages and other marketers trying to fight for attention, guess what? It only takes one good subject line to fully gain their attention and maintain that attention for long enough to create that emotional payoff. If you are a student of marketing, you understand what I'm talking about. If you're not yet, then know that if you're not getting your piece of the pie right now, it means you're not using the right bait and you're not positioning the right offers that speak directly to those emotional payoffs that we all have. So now let's get back to the word bait. What is bait? Okay, how do you define exactly what your target prospect, what your target market should be paying attention to? How do you position it in front of them? How do you create it? How do you get people to pay attention to what you're about to say? Well, the first thing you need to understand that bait is not anything physical. When it comes to marketing, it's truly a business of leadership. It's truly a business of selling ideas. Just like politics, right? And marketing and politics have a lot in common, which is why, great marketers turn into great politicians. And in fact, look at Donald Trump. He became a president, okay? And the guy is probably one of the greatest marketers on the planet today. He's definitely a great salesperson. He's definitely a great liar. But as far as marketing is concerned, he gets it. And so when he was running for president, notice the bait he used. He spoke about the wall. He, spoke about him not needing the money and how he doesn't depend on anyone. He spoke about a bunch of things, and all of these things were bait. Now, this bait that he spoke about, all these things that he mentioned in his, campaign running all the way up to, the election day, all that tells you more about the voter than about Donald Trump. Yo, it's Igor. If you're loving the content, hop on over to listbuildinglifestyleshow.com for more free training and a free transcript of this episode. Oh, and I'd really appreciate if you logged into iTunes and rated the show. It really helps. Thanks. Everything he was saying had nothing to do with him. He doesn't need a wall. He doesn't care about, Mexicans climbing over the border. He doesn't care about Canada. He doesn't care about tax. He doesn't care about that stuff. But the voters do. The voters do. And so when you see half the country respond to his bait, when you see half the country celebrate when he says we'll build a wall, what that tells you is that the country, the people who are voting for him, have they're pursuing this emotional payoff of safety. This emotional payoff of safety, both financial and physical, through the means of building a wall. Now, before Trump said it, they didn't really think about the wall. So all he needed to do is plant the idea of a wall in their minds by talking about it and having the media space to do it. And of course, if you're running for president, you're getting a lot of media space, you're getting a lot of media attention. And what he did, he used it correctly. He gave them an idea that appealed directly to the emotional payoff he knew his voters are looking for: financial security, physical security. Now, of course, he alienated the other half of the country that was against him, but that was enough. That was enough to win the election. So I'm not saying that the bait you're going to put out is going to work with everybody. No. In fact, the bait you're going to put out is probably going to work with a 0.001% of the marketplace, if not less than that. But you will be able to build a thriving six-figure business even with such a small market. For years, I went on making 6 figures a month with a customer base of less than 5,000 people. When I crossed 10,000 people, I doubled. When I crossed 20,000 people, I started producing well over that. And the reason is because with the right bait, you cultivate the right audience, you appeal to the right emotional triggers, and by doing so, the marketplace tends to reward you with loyalty and transactions. Now, this is not to say that you need to create fake bait or that you need just to say things just to get people to buy from you but never deliver. No, if you do that, the marketplace quickly catches up with you and it results in very nasty consequence. For example, I had 2 coaching clients that used this exact concept but never delivered on what they promised. I'm not going to name their names. Neither one of them no longer markets online. They had a really short run. But the first one sold coaching, supposedly coaching, with appealing to the element of, let me drive your traffic for you. So he kind of, saw what we were doing, but instead of doing it correctly like we do, he tried to do it incorrectly, and he sold a ton of memberships where he promised to people he's going to get them a ton of leads. And as a result, the marketplace caught up with him so quickly that not only he lost his PayPal account, not only banks refused to work with him, but also his entire reputation online was so bad that even after he created an alias, they still caught up on him and he still couldn't make any money. So he quit. And the last I checked, he applied for a job at a police force. Now, I don't know if he's still there, but all I know is he ruined it, not because of the bait he was using, but because he was using bait he couldn't deliver on. That was the mistake. Now, the other student started out really well, and he was selling coaching packages, expensive coaching packages, about $3,000 to $5,000 a pop, and he was using all the right bait. In fact, he nailed down the bait. Again, I'm using the word bait just so I have an easy reference word for it, but the bait is simply ideas that appeal to the emotional triggers that your prospect has, both positive and negative triggers at the same time. So he used the bait so well and he memorized it so well that he brought it down to a simple script. And within just 90 minutes, he was able to get on the phone with pretty much anyone, recognize their emotional triggers, and then fill in the blanks in the script and just knock out sales one after another. And he did it so fast that he simply couldn't deliver on everything he sold. He just sold too many memberships. And as a result, he had a lawsuit on his hands that I think he ended up winning, but he definitely ended up moving away from the industry because he realized that you actually have to deliver on what you sell, which to him was a big surprise. So my point is this: even if you're a nobody, even if you're an absolute nobody, if you appeal to the right emotional bait, if you appeal to the right emotional pain points, if you appeal to the right emotional desires, right, to the right emotional triggers that we all have within us, no matter who we are, we all have our own triggers. If you can guess at least 10% of these triggers correctly within the scope of your marketplace, you will end up making big money. The reason is because the marketplace tends to reward the people and the marketers who trigger those emotional pain points and emotional points. It tends to reward those marketers with attention. And if you have attention, you've got 50% of your success down. And so you can step into the most competitive marketplace. You can step into the marketplace that has bigger, more potent, richer, more skilled competitors than you are, or that you ever will be, even if you feel that way right now. And if you simply say the right things, everything else will be dimmed down. Like the prospect's brain will automatically, without the prospect even knowing that or recognizing that until, it's like a couple of hours down the road, they will dim everything else in their mind. Imagine it's like the theater of the mind. They will dim the lights and they will showcase nothing but what you're saying, giving you their full undivided attention for at least 5 seconds. Now, from those 5 seconds, it's up to you to keep maintaining that attention, to keep delivering on those, to keep delivering that bait to the brain until you've delivered enough bait to satisfy the brain and make a call to action to get on your list. And from there, you continue to market the exact same way, never assuming that you got their full undivided attention, but rather working on perfecting your bait presentation skills. Again, I want to stress this before we wrap up the episode, how important it is to make the distinction of what bait is and how it's important for you to not view it in a negative sense. Because bait, although the word has a negative meaning to it, bait is simply what they're going for. Bait is what gets their attention. Bait is what their brain will automatically recognize and automatically drive their attention to if it sees something like that in front of it. Again, so it's not between even you and your prospect, right? You have to sort of detach your prospect from their brain in a way. Just try to imagine, take out the prospect's brain out of their, skull, and you're operating versus the brain. If you can engage the brain based on the rules and patterns the brain operates on, which are completely automatic, because based on these patterns, we survive, and it's not something that's going to change in the next 100 years. So as long as you operate on what the brain operates on, you don't even need to think about the prospect. All you need to think about is, how does the brain work and how do I give the brain what it wants? So the brain then dictates to the prospect what they do. Now, I didn't mean to get scientific or try to get into the anatomy lesson here, but as a marketer, it's really, really crucial for you to recognize these things and to embrace them, because they will help you in understanding how to properly market. And so with this episode, again, what I'm leaving you with is the understanding and the belief that you can gain anyone's attention as long as you give them the right bait. All right. So this is Igor Kayfetz. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of the List Building Lifestyle. And until next time we chat, have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to the List Building Lifestyle. Get access to previous episodes, the transcript of today's show, and exclusive content at our website at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. Also, don't forget to claim your free seat at the traffic workshop I'm conducting this week, where I'm showing how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers without losing money, and how my clients are putting anywhere from 50 to 500 new leads per day on their list at a profit without any list building experience. Just go to igor.cx to claim your free seat now.